Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. When we talk about business in Australia, it's easy to think immediately of BHP or the Commonwealth Bank, the big guys on the ASX. But the reality is that family businesses actually represent almost 70% of all Australian businesses. And while some of those are household names, think Visy or Linfox, there are many, many more across a whole range of sectors. Together, family businesses provide 55% of private sector employment and nearly 50% of total private sector wages paid. Working with family can be challenging. It requires discipline and very clear roles and expectations. But when it works, it can be very successful. My guest today is a great example of that. 40 years ago, entrepreneur Richard Kuipers started a removalist business from home, 2 men and a truck. Now turns over almost $20 million a year, employs 300 people, and is a true family business. Richard's daughter, Catherine, is now the CEO. Richard has written a book called Inside the Box, a guide to building a family business for future generations. Richard, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thank you for having me.
What a terrific story. Now, I've got to say, I remember when I moved to Sydney, and this is late 80s, I'm going to say, and one of the first things I remember back then was the name of your business. I was moving into a place in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and the truck next to me, I wasn't using you guys, but 2 men and a truck turned up. And I thought, wow, that is about as good a name for a business as ever, because that's exactly what it is.
Well, that is because we started originally with 2 men. Our neighbour's son joined us, and he was only about 14 or 15 at the time, and he helped out on the weekends. But as time went by, of course, we had more people on the truck, and we've got bigger trucks now, of course.
Yeah.
But when you moved from Bondi, I was probably in the other truck.
Is that right?
I was driving the truck myself, believe it or not.
Actually, and I had a friend indeed who went and did some work with you in the eastern suburbs as well. So, you never know, Richard, we may have crossed paths some time ago. So tell me, you started this yourself. Just tell me very briefly how it evolved and how your family got involved, etc.
Well, I got involved. I came originally from Holland, and I was backpacking, and a truck used to go past a hostel looking for people to help them. So I got involved in the furniture removal business, and then I could do this myself. Bought this old beaten up truck and started moving people myself, and it just evolved from there.
And a good idea and hard work, I dare say, because being a removalist is not an easy job.
No, it's not easy. It's quite hard work, but it's also not too bad because the drivers spend a lot of time on the road going to jobs and going back again. But also, if you have enough people on the truck, it's much easier.
Okay. So what point did your family get involved in the business?
Well, what happened was when I started the business, I was working from home. And when my kids came from school, they would help out and answer the phone with 2 men in the truck. May I help you?
Right.
And 30 odd years later, they're still answering the phone with 2 men in the truck.
Wow.
But now, of course, the company's grown, and Catherine is the CEO, and our youngest daughter, Elizabeth, she is the public relations and customer service person.
Okay, so how do you manage that? It is very tricky working with siblings for many, many people. Do you have a set of rules around it? Do you have a family charter? How does it work?
Well, first of all, the family is member of Family Business Australia. And Family Business Australia supports family businesses. We speak to other businesses, and we also do a lot of courses. And our eldest daughter is also part of a forum group for the second generation. So what we did do is create a charter. We've got a family mediator. You have to have a family mediator, because otherwise it gets out of hand. And the family mediator is a part of Family Business Australia. And we started sort of working on this charter about 3 years ago.
And it's evolved over that time?
Well, it has. It started off with the basic rules of the game. When we have the meetings, we have to conduct ourselves accordingly, be polite, be interested. We don't talk people. And so that's the basic rules of the meeting we're going to have. And every time we have a meeting, our mediator would read out the rules. And that's a huge thing. And the family sort of abide by it.
Stay with me, Richard. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Richard Kuipers, founder of Two Men and a Truck and the author of Inside the Box. Okay, now the business itself now is, am I right in saying you've got 90 trucks or something? Like it's no longer a small business, it's a medium-sized business. How do you choose who is your successor? I mean, you see lots of TV shows about the father or mother stepping down and a fight between the siblings to find out who takes the job. But how did it work in your instance? Because your elder daughter, you said, is CEO, and then your younger daughter is public relations. How did you work that out?
Well, a bit more by coincidence, because Catherine's been with us the longest, and
Right.
she's worked herself into the business. She knows all the ins and outs. She's very capable. And Lizzie joined much later.
So, yeah, it's kind of natural in a sense. Was it hard for you to let go?
Well, I haven't let go 100%.
Right. So, no.
I don't do any administration work, or I don't do any lifting furniture or get involved too much. I'm 75.
Right.
But we do have weekly meetings. So we're much involved. We know what goes on. We have a lot of meetings with the family and the mediator.
Yeah. Okay.
And we discuss all the things that has to be discussed. So there's good clarification on the future.
So what are some of the downsides of working with your family?
Well, the downside is, of course, fighting or arguing with each other. They don't see eye to eye. But at the moment, it's all going extremely well. We don't seem to have any issues anymore. And we did have them in the beginning.
Yeah, okay. And that's just a process of working through it. Are there certain things where family businesses, I mean, sort of common mistakes that family businesses make that you've seen where, they haven't succeeded as a result of these mistakes? I mean, what one is impressive with you, Richard, here is you're talking about the family charter and having a mediator and having a real process in place, in a sense, to sort through challenges. They'll always be there, whether it's family or not. But, I suppose I'm looking for instances of where you see family businesses not succeed and why.
Well, I think why they don't succeed is they don't have a mediator who knows what family business is all about. And also in the family, you need one person who represents the family, who insists that we do it. Otherwise, they might give up. It's too complicated.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of Lynn Fox and Vizzy, I mentioned, they have very dominant patriarchs. The Murdochs, the Reinhardts, patriarch and a matriarch there in that instances. But they do have one person who's kind of leading the way, I suppose.
Yes, that's what you need. Otherwise, it really doesn't work. In our case, it was I who sort of insisted that we do it and we get all our affairs in order. I don't want to end up, if I pass away, we all end up in court fighting and arguing with each other, because basically it's all in place.
And that must be a very important thing for you, that as you slow down in terms of how much work you do, and then, ultimately in a long time, when it does pass down through generations, that is set up for success.
That's right. We also, in the charter, we've got the second part is the legal side. We went through our solicitors and the whole family. We're talking to them, and we had a sort of succession plan in place, and we had all the sort of the will discussed and all the legal side fixed up. And if there's more, we just go to the solicitor and we discuss it all.
Okay.
It's not a fixed document; it's a live document, and things change all the time.
It sounds like communicating to each other is very important, and I dare say in a fairly honest and frank manner.
Well, that's right. We have to have the clarity, and the family has to know where they stand and what's going to happen in the future of the business. We now also have our two granddaughters, and they do a bit of part-time work in the business. So
right.
Maybe by the third generation, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Richard, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Well, thank you for having me, Sean. It was great.
That was Richard Kuipers, founder of Two Men and a Truck and the author of Inside the Box. This is a Fear and Greed daily interview. Remember, you should get professional advice before making any investment decisions. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business podcast. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.